I thought a little bit more, and I said, well, should I run again? Should I run again for office? And then I thought about this. Let me ask you this question. Do you guys realize that we have reduced the unnecessary growth in spending in government in the last 2 years, like people have never seen in this community, in many communities around here, but in this community in particular? Do you guys realize that? Do you realize that in the last 2 years that there's been more done by the people in this community and this government to contribute to a better environment? Reduction in usage of fossil fuel, reduction in usage of energy, accountability for usage of those things. Do you realize that you've been doing something that has made things a little bit better? Whether it's $1 less that goes over to some terrorist overseas or whatever because they sell us oil, or because we've helped with the environment, the environment that God gave us and we have to pass on to our kids. Do you realize that we've done that in 2 years and it's never been done before? Do you realize that 5-6 years ago the town used the same amount of gallons of gasoline as they did in diesel in 2007, but the price back then was $75,000 that we spent, and when I came in as mayor it was $500 and something thousand, and that we've reduced that. Do you realize that the Board of Education actually reduced their budget by $1 million before the fiscal year even started, and gave us back the money so that we didn't have to increase taxes, and it allowed us to be able to pay off about $1 million in debt service? Do you realize that you have folks over there like Kathy and George April that work that hard and work in conjunction with us, that there's been so many years of waste and people these guys stay on the bureaucrats over there. I stay on the government people over here. It's different than it was before, and there's good working, and there's good things happening for everybody. And this is different. These are your tax dollars being spent. You in the last 2 years have supported budgets that have spending is nearly zero increase. I mean, Tony's not kidding you. Tony, you know what he asked me first when I told him, I said the spending is very close to zero? The first thing he asked me about, well, does that include your bonding? See, because when you're down in Hartford, you have to think about how, and I'm not getting on Tony, but that's how they bring it out. They'll say, well, I said, no, you want to take out the bonding. Well, that's good. We're below zero. And then, if you want to take out this and that, I mean, yeah, here you are. You have a tax rate decrease. You have a tax rate decrease. We've implemented technology and all this stuff, and you talked about blueberries, blackberries, and all this other stuff, right? It wasn't just to spend money, although some people want you to think that this was just to waste money. And let me just give you, this is a great quote that I got out of one of Reagan's things, and I want you to, I read this to Nancy Osborne last night. It is a great quote. Ronald Reagan said back in 1964 that no government ever voluntarily reduces its size, so government programs once launched never disappear. Actually, a government bureau is the nearest thing to eternal life we'll ever see on this earth. Now, that's 1964. Now, well, here's the problem with all the access to technology and all this other stuff, is we want to deliver services better. We want you to have access. We want you to be happy. We want responses. Real-time responses. We want real-time answers. Now, we're making things better. The infrastructure that we put in place in terms of technology, the most recent investment in fiber optics is something so that, someday everybody here can have access to the information superhighway, right, through, basically Wi-Fi. You hear about Wi-Fi, right? But a lot of these things are also to consolidate things so people work together, so we don't have to duplicate expenditures. We've done we've done some pretty interesting stuff with that. But that's all really, you know, they're investments for your benefit. But I'll tell you right now, you come in to this and they tell you, well, I have a 5-year plan for that. I'm like, well, I get 18 months before I get everything done. And it's been a push in here from day one. I mean, it's an uphill battle. You're considered a person that's basically just visiting for 2 years. You know, and sometimes I would like the visit to be over. And it might be. It might be. If the council people and our families and all the people in the town committee, we don't talk to them, we don't ask them for the support. I mean, this is an important election, not just for me, not just for the council members, not just for the Board of Education members, but for the community.